The tributes were endless, flooding in from every corner of the globe. Former co-stars, Hollywood icons, even fans who grew up with Malcolm Jamal Warner, all pouring out their love after his sudden death. In Costa Rica. But hold up, there was one voice completely Mia. No statement, no photo, no teary-eyed post, nothing. His wife, the woman who was supposed to be his biggest supporter, disappeared like she never existed. And guess what? The world was left hanging with the biggest question. Why? Well, while everyone else was silent, one voice refused to be drowned out. Enter Malcolm's mother, Pamela Warner, the only one standing up and demanding the truth. And spoiler alert, Pamela was not buying the official drowning accident story, oh no. She took matters into her own hands and launched a private investigation that would uncover something so explosive it flipped her grief into full-blown suspicion. And that suspicion, well, it turned into an all-out war for answers. Pamela made one thing crystal clear: she wasn't burying her son until she knew exactly what happened. For her, the idea that Malcolm, an experienced swimmer, could be taken down by a rip current just didn't add up. This was a man who had swum through rough waters since childhood. To Pamela, the thought that he could just slip beneath the waves like that was not only unthinkable, it was an insult to his memory. So when the officials brushed it off as just a tragic accident, Pamela wasn't having it. She wasn't about to let the official story slide without a fight. She told anyone who'd listen, reporters, friends, even strangers, the truth hasn't been told yet. And to Pamela, the real story of that day was buried somewhere, hidden in the shadows, and she wasn't going to rest until it was all dragged into the light. But as she pushed for answers, something else was quietly happening in the background, something that would make her son's death even more suspicious. While Pamela was on a mission, the public eye shifted to someone who had been eerily silent since the tragedy: Malcolm's wife. Fans, the media, everyone was waiting for her to speak up, maybe a heartfelt tribute, a public appearance, something. But instead, crickets. No statement, no tribute, not a single word or photo. She didn't even show up to public memorials, let alone speak to the press or post a thing online. And then, just as people were starting to forget about her silence, something even stranger happened. She quietly moved out of the home she shared with Malcolm. For a woman who had just lost her husband, this silence was off. For someone married to a man loved by millions, completely unthinkable. Rumors swirled online. People wondered, was she grieving in private? Or was there something darker going on? And just as those whispers were fading, Pamela uncovered something that would completely change the narrative. Pamela Warner thought she knew everything about her son's life until a phone call from Malcolm's lawyer shattered that illusion. Turns out, Malcolm had a life insurance policy. And not just any policy, a jaw-dropping $200 million one. Pamela was blindsided. She'd never heard of it, never seen a single document, and had no clue that her son had taken out such a massive policy. And get this, according to the lawyer, Malcolm's wife had already filled out all the paperwork and claimed the money at lightning speed. Sources close to the family say Pamela was left speechless. Not only had she been completely kept in the dark about this, but the entire policy had been processed and paid out faster than anyone could believe. But here's the kicker that made her stomach churn. The whole $200 million was already in Malcolm's wife's personal account. Pamela's mind immediately started connecting dots. She didn't want to connect the silence, the sudden move out of the house, and now the secret fortune that no one knew about. Pamela wasn't about to keep these suspicions to herself. The speed of it all was what really rattled her, according to sources. The payout didn't drag on for months of red tape. No, it was wrapped up in days, no delays, no complications, no public record of disputes. 1 minute the account was empty. The next, $100 million was sitting in Malcolm's wife's hands. Pamela couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't just about efficiency, it felt like preparation. How could something as massive as a $200 million payout move so quietly, without a single ripple in the public eye? Why had no one mentioned this policy to the family? No sign it even existed. The lawyer's words echoed in her head. It's done, she has the money. With every passing hour, Pamela's grief was slowly replaced by a growing suspicion. If this was all innocent, then why had it been kept from her? And why did it all happen so fast after Malcolm's death? Those questions were about to lead to a confrontation the family would never forget. Pamela didn't waste a second. The moment she found out the truth, she marched straight to Malcolm's wife. Sources say there was no small talk, no sugarcoating. Pamela demanded answers. She wanted to know why the life insurance policy was kept a secret, why it was processed so quickly, and why she, the mother, was completely kept in the dark. Those close to the situation say the exchange was intense. Pamela's voice was calm, but her words, razor sharp. And when she didn't get the explanation she was looking for, she made a call that no one could ignore. Within minutes, Pamela told Malcolm's wife to pack up and leave the house. It didn't matter that it had once been shared with her son. To Pamela, the trust had been shattered beyond repair. To Pamela, the trust between her and Malcolm's wife had been shattered beyond repair. That night, the house was eerily silent. But the battle lines had been drawn and Pamela wasn't backing down for weeks. She had been a grieving mother, trying to make sense of her son's death. But after that confrontation, grief took a back seat, and strategy took over. Pamela started calling lawyers, asking questions, and combing through records. She was determined to uncover the truth if there was even the slightest chance that Malcolm's death wasn't what it seemed. And now, with that $200 million insurance payout looming over everything, Pamela believed she had both the motive and the means staring her right in the face. She made it clear to everyone around her this wasn't going to end with more unanswered questions. She was ready to take her fight to court to challenge that payout, and to drag every detail of Malcolm's final days into the light. To one close friend, Pamela's words were chilling in their resolve. If she had nothing to do with my son's death, she'll have no problem standing before a judge and proving it. But Pamela wasn't stopping at legal action. She wanted the full power of a federal investigation behind her. Pamela Warner wasn't about to let the case rest on whispers and theories. She was demanding law enforcement's full force behind her, and she wasn't talking about the local Costa Rican police who had already closed the case. Oh no, she wanted the FBI involved, and they were about to find out just how far she was willing to go. She wasn't talking about local police. Pamela was going straight for the big guns, the FBI. According to sources close to the family, Pamela's first call was to a trusted contact with serious federal connections, someone she'd known for years. Her message, simple and to the point: I believe my son's death was no accident. I need someone to dig. And that's when the paper trail started to take shape. Pamela reportedly submitted formal requests, pushing for a deep, thorough investigation into every single detail of Malcolm's last days. His travel records, who knew where he was and when, the life insurance policy, when was it taken out, and who suggested it. She wanted witness accounts. Too, were there people on the beach who hadn't spoken up yet? What about the financial activity? Was there any movement of money before his death that pointed to something more sinister? One source claims Pamela even asked agents to look into whether Malcolm had been under surveillance. In the days before his death, she'd already seen rumors online about a shadowy figure near the water that day, and though she couldn't be sure it was true, she wasn't leaving anything to chance. She wanted it checked. What drove her determination even more was a timeline. To Pamela, it was too suspicious to ignore. 1 minute, Malcolm is alive, healthy, and vacationing. Hours later, he's gone, and within days, a $200 million payout clears into Malcolm's wife's account. The story blew up online. The hashtag $1 million word started trending, with some even dubbing her the fastest paid spouse in history. But Pamela wasn't done. She was just getting started. The fastest paid spouse in history, that's how the internet dubbed her. But not everyone was buying it. Critics argued that Pamela was stepping into dangerous territory by airing these suspicions without proof. But guess what? Pamela didn't give a damn about online opinions. She wasn't out to win social media battles. She was after hard evidence. She told her friends she was ready for the consequences, willing to risk her own reputation if it meant exposing the truth, in her words, relayed by someone close to her. If she's innocent, she has nothing to fear from an investigation. If she's not, she won't be able to hide forever. Pamela's push for federal involvement was a game changer. This wasn't just a family drama over money anymore. It was now an official, possibly criminal investigation to figure out whether Malcolm Jamal Warner's death was really an accident or if someone had turned it into one. And once the FBI got involved, Pamela knew there was no going back. The second word got out that Pamela Warner had taken this case to the FBI, the internet went wild. Hashtags like hashtag justice for Malcolm, hashtag $1 million widow, and hashtag what really happened were trending all over social media. News outlets jumped on the story, fueling the fire with headlines that kept playing out the mystery. Mother questions to $100 million insurance payout after actor's death. Widow silent as FBI probe grows. Fans were torn right down the middle. On one side, you had those who believed Pamela's instincts were spot on. To them, the silence from Malcolm's wife, coupled with the lightning-fast payout, was way too suspicious to ignore. The payout, the hidden life insurance policy, it was all too suspicious to ignore. Pamela's supporters swarmed comment sections and forums, blasting the silence and pointing out that if everything was truly innocent, there should be no reason to hide anything. Some even went full detective mode, digging through old interviews, social media posts, and real estate records to uncover the secrets of the couple's life before Malcolm's death. On the other side, though, were the skeptics, those who thought Pamela's grief had spiraled into paranoia. They argued that wanting privacy after such a tragedy wasn't a crime, and warned against jumping to conclusions without solid proof, cautioning that speculation without evidence could ruin reputations. But no matter which camp you were in, the core questions were impossible to ignore. Why had a $200 million policy been kept a secret from Malcolm's own mother? How did the payout clear so quickly after his death? Who advised Malcolm to take out such a massive policy in the first place? And most haunting of all, why had his wife stayed completely silent through all of this? In the middle of this social media storm, Pamela didn't back down. She turned down interviews that focused on gossip, insisting that all she wanted was the truth. But behind closed doors, she confessed to close friends that the more she uncovered, the more convinced she became that her son's death was planned. The tension between Pamela and her daughter-in-law had become a nationwide topic and unfolding mystery that everyone was watching. A mystery that millions are now watching, and with the FBI involved, every day feels like it could bring a breakthrough or a bombshell. Pamela Warner is no longer just a grieving mother, she's a woman on a mission. Every move she's made since that fateful day on July 20th has pulled her deeper into a fight she never thought she'd be facing. What started with shock and disbelief on a beach in Costa Rica has transformed into a legal, financial, and emotional battle that could change how the world remembers her son. She's refused to bury Malcolm. She's refused to let the official story stand, and she's refused to let the silence of authorities, witnesses, or his wife be the final word to Pamela. This isn't just about a payout or one family's private loss, this is about truth. The kind of truth that, if uncovered, could turn the story from a tragic accident into something far more sinister. Friends say Pamela carries a binder with her everywhere. It's thick, heavy, and bursting with documents, statements, and timelines. She updates it daily, cross-referencing every inconsistency she finds. In the back of that binder, there's a single page marked in red ink with one haunting question. Was this planned? People close to her say she's not slowing down anytime soon. The more legal filings, FBI requests, and media attention pile up, the more determined she becomes. This fight, it's just getting started. Pamela's stance is simple: if the truth is clean, an investigation will prove it. But if it isn't, well, it will expose the people who've been trying to bury it. Meanwhile, Malcolm's widow continues her eerie silence. No interviews, no statements, not a single word in defense against Pamela's growing accusations. The world is left to wonder, is that silence a result of grief, or is it something far colder? And so, the story hangs in the balance. A mystery with two possible endings. First, a confirmation that Pamela's suspicions were baseless, bringing her closure and finally allowing her to lay her son to rest. Or, second, the unthinkable, evidence that proves Malcolm's death was never an accident at all. Until that day comes, Pamela has vowed to keep fighting, no matter how many doors slam in her face. As she recently told a close friend, "I don't care how high up this goes. I will not stop until the truth is mine," because for Pamela Warner, this is no longer just a quest for justice, it's a war for her son's legacy. And until the final piece of this puzzle falls into place, the question of what really happened in Costa Rica will haunt everyone involved.